Hi everyone, my name is Swee, and in conjunction with International Women's Day 2022, the Malaysian Middle Temple Alumni Association, TMTA, is running a month-long campaign, which is TMTA Presents Women in Law, to celebrate prominent female Middle Templars in Malaysia. Throughout the month of March, we have released short episodes every Thursday at 8 p.m., with each episode featuring prominent female Middle Templars who will be sharing their success stories along with gender-specific challenges that they have faced along the way, as well as their advice to aspiring and young professionals to #break the bias. In today's episode, we have none other than human rights lawyer and activist, Larissa Ann Louis. Hi, Larissa.
Hi, Zoe.
So let me just make a short, brief introduction on Larissa before we begin with the interview session. Larissa currently heads the pro bono unit of Messrs. Azri, Swee Seng Co. She was admitted as a barrister at law at Middle Temple in the year 2014 and later on to the Malaysian Bar in year 2016. She's currently I've been made to understand that she is currently the youngest elected committee member of the Malaysian Bar Council. And as I have mentioned earlier, Larissa is a human rights activist. She has founded Hakita with the aim of empowering and making basic human rights accessible to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, Larissa.
Thank you for having me, actually, Zoe. I feel very honored to be here, actually.
We're very honored to also have you as a Middle Templars, and we're just really grateful that you can be part of our 5 mini-series for International Women's Day 2022. So I just wanted to, before we get into the questions, I just wanted to get to know you a little better. And I've always wanted to ask whether human rights was something that you've always wanted to do right off law school.
I think that is a fully loaded question, which I get actually very often. And as cliche as it sounds, I wanted to change my world. I always wanted to do human rights. I was very intentional in choosing law because I felt, to be really honest, I was deciding between medical or law. But I felt personally it was easier, or for me, with my character, to bring change via the law and policy. So that's exactly why I chose law.
I see. And you've been in practice, if I'm not mistaken, for about 6 years now.
Correct. And yeah, exactly. So sorry to cut you there, because tomorrow is like my anniversary of entering my 7th year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is human rights, the practice in human rights, was it how you've always envisioned it to be?
Not at all, Sylvie. Not at all.
Could you, give us a little more, elaborate on that?
Yeah. When you come out of law school, for lack of a better word, I'll use the word being naive, thinking that justice is the way you see it, the way you read it, it's the way it is. Everyone fights for it, everyone stands for it, people are protected by the law. But when you enter the reality of the legal practice or just representation of clients in any area, you would, specifically human rights actually, you would see the reality of the situations that the law, yes, can be put as being protective over certain issues, but the interpretation or the reality of it, it's not there most of the time. That is why we bring actions to court to get judges to interpret the way that we see the original drafters of the Federal Constitution saw that right as of. So the reality and how we read it was really different. And I personally got that smack of reality when I was doing my doc brief during the legal aid, your legal aid 14 days a voluntary thing that you have to do to come out as a pupil. Yeah, so that was my reality when I did some form of representation of certain individuals there that made me realize like, wow, it is not the way that it is. Yeah.
Okay, since we were talking about your chambering days, let's, we'll dive into the questions. We'll talk a little bit about the past, which is over the course of your legal career until now, have you faced any specific challenges, any gender biasness that you've encountered or maybe you've seen?
I really love that question because it's very often asked, and it's very weird. Like, why only women get asked that question, right? How often do we actually ask a male litigator, do you face any gender inequality? So I find that very fascinating, and I'm so happy that we're doing this, to break the bias. The answer to the question would be yes. I guess there are layers to this. Interdiscrimination, I would say,
Okay.
because firstly, I'm a woman. Secondly, I'm in litigation, which is rare, and thirdly, I'm young. So these are like the combination of a full-on of you're not good enough, or at that moment. So yes, personally, I have only because the combination of that three, and for example, I can give you a simple example of wearing heels to court.
Okay.
It sounds so normal for a girl, like, you're wearing heels to court, but a male lawyer would probably say something like, are you going for a party, or like, what's going on here? And I have had that encounter before. So it's very real, and it's very important to stand up for it when it happens and not just to let it slide. Yeah.
I see. Was there any other instances other than, that one? Has any other lawyers ever said anything?
There are many instances. For example, wearing makeup. That is also an issue that I have seen lawyers bring it up to say certain ways a judge treated you that way, probably because you were wearing makeup or you looked the way that you look. Even explaining it to you right now, it doesn't even make sense. Like, why would someone equate you wearing makeup or looking the way that you do on how a judge would have perceived you? Like, would you actually ask a male litigator or a lawyer, I guess the color of your tie made the judge say that, or the way your suit fitted you, things like this. It's really, when you think about it and when you pause, it really does not make sense. But here we are, even at this age and time, we're still facing these kind of issues.
So it's safe to say that women are often judged by the way they look instead of, for example, the profession we're in, I would say it's quite male dominated, but it doesn't matter because in the end of the day, you're still a lawyer and it's not based on your looks.
Yeah, exactly. But so often than not, I know it sounds so materialistic, or it sounds so bad to even say that we are judged by the way we look. I'm not just talking about looking pretty or not, but the very fact that you're young. When you're a young lawyer, even that's a whole discrimination on its own, because like you said, it's male dominating, and it's also with senior lawyers. Yeah.
And so, in your opinion, or what would you have done, or how do you overcome such obstacles that you've just mentioned just now?
Yeah, I think I can only speak in hindsight, right? Because when you are in that situation, it's quite hard to actually respond, because you're caught off guard, right? And I remember those situations. But at that time, when all of this happened, I was able to actually, not in a rude or condescending way, but to actually say, why would you say that? Would you actually say that to a guy? Would you have that same view? And I think what's most important is when you stand up or say something on behalf of yourself, when it refers to gender issues, right? You're not only standing up for yourself, but you're also standing up for every other woman out there. Very simple example, when you're in a meeting with a group of male lawyers and they are speaking about their opponent who's a female lawyer and laughing about it. And in that moment, you have a decision to make. Are you going to laugh along? Are you going to actually say, hey, that's not actually very nice to say about a women lawyer, you know? And I think that is where it's very important to step up and to speak in a respectful way so that they understand where you're coming from and your perspective, not like you're fighting against them, but to actually, hey, take a step back and think about what you just said. I don't think it's nice. Yeah.
I think that's really nice, Larissa, hearing that, other women, one of the ways, we can empower each other or to stand up for each other when, we are put in that sort of situation.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about the present. In relation to diversity in today's legal industry. So do you think that there is an issue with gender equality and diversity within the legal profession today?
I think everyone can agree that most lawyers who are litigators are normally male. I think that's very common. You can see it. I don't even have to say it. And most of the female lawyers are probably in corporate or in conveyancing or even in-house, depending. I mean, if the trend that you can see once they get married or a child, they will want to take a step back and go in-house because of course, the pressures of litigation, the timeline and all of that. I mean, that is very, very crucial things to consider, when you're building a family and whatnot. So yes, you can see the diversity issue there, where even just walking into court, the higher courts, Court of Appeal or federal courts, if you notice the counsels that are there, or the lawyers that are known are most of the time male lawyers, and I always thought about it, like why must it be like that? Why must we get a counsel to represent us on a higher, as you go to the higher courts, why can't we do it on our own? But that's a whole issue on its own. But yes, gender inequality and diversity is an issue there. And I can see it as well, with my friends. And normally it's a 5-year mark after being in practice, and then you decide whether you still want to go on with this or not. And a lot of my female friends, for example, have gone in-house, actually, to be really honest. Yeah.
Is there a reason why you think women would prefer, other than maybe it's their own choice or having to put family first, why do you think they would leave the profession?
I wouldn't say this is a gender issue, why people leave the profession at a certain time. I think it's about a control issue, like bosses or senior lawyers not giving you the liberty or the empowerment to decide on cases on your own or have that freedom. Micromanaging is an issue after being in practice so long. You want to be able to have that independence, right? So I think that's an issue for the male and female, why people actually move on to wherever they move on to. But if to count it on gender specifically, it will obviously be an issue of family or, take a step back. But I also do wonder why only women have that thought, Do men, I mean, I really don't know. Do men actually think like, oh, I'm starting a family, I should actually, I really don't know what goes on in their mind. But yeah, I think that would be mainly the reasons.
Okay, then do you think that there's anything that can be done to improve gender equality and diversity in the legal profession?
I think it's about empowerment and giving people the opportunity or ability to do it. I am so blessed, and I speak this in the most humble way, that I'm surrounded with male and female lawyers who have empowered me to be the person I am today, to give me that freedom. Especially, come to think about it, the senior lawyers around me were male, and they really empowered me to be able to stand up on my own and nurture me through that. So I think it's an issue of having that, I don't know, like a light bulb moment to actually empower the people around you, whether they are women or men, young or old, to actually give them that authority and in terms of women, if specifically women, to actually say like, hey, Zoe, I want you to take up this case. I will guide you through it, but you are going to handle it on your own. It's as simple as that. It gives you the confidence that you probably didn't think you had when you have someone else to say, you can do it, and I will be there with you to hold your hands, for lack of a better word, to see you go through it on your own, but not on your own. You get it? Like that freedom to actually do it. And also to be able to empower in terms of when we have children, kids, to have that flexibility, to know that that person is having a child or, whatever, to have that flexibility to say that, these are the times that I'm available and these are the times that I'm not. This is part of empowerment, knowing that women have this probably as a main issue why they move out from litigation is because of family. So how do you avoid that? Is by empowering them to say it's okay to be a mother and also have your work as a litigator go on, But this is me speaking as someone who has I'm not married or with a child, so I don't think it's fair for me to speak on behalf of them, but this is what I think the issue is. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because like what you said, when you have to juggle between family and work, sometimes, we would choose family because it's a very maternal thing to do. But
exactly,
like you said, giving someone the confidence to, we entrust you with this and we give you the time to, and I think women, we're able to do that if we put our mind to it. So let's talk a little bit about the future. What would your advice be to young and aspiring practitioners who wants to also one day practice in the very specific human rights arena?
I always advocate this, knowledge is really power. You can be a young lawyer against a senior lawyer. Your experience, yes, is different. You probably have 2 years, they probably have 20 years. But what you cannot, for lack of a better word, compete with is knowledge. If you have that same knowledge, you read up that same cases, you know your cases at the tip of your fingers, and they also do, so you are already at same par. So know the area, whatever area it is, and if it's human rights, know the area. And I think passion is very important in this area of law because it's hard. It's not only the law, it's also that emotional strength that you need to have, because these are real people facing real life issues of, for example, citizenship. They're not recognized in any country. They cannot work, they cannot study, they cannot get married. Some of them are suicidal, in depression. So you have to take that on as well with them, because it's a journey. I am a firm believer of being more than just a lawyer, not to just be their lawyer, but journey and be a friend with them, because it's needed. They cannot feel like they are alone. We cannot be in a position by just sending an email, here are your course papers, but actually explain to them and say, this is what is happening, this is what we are fighting for, and we want you to be included in the hearing or whatnot. So I would say find your passion, whatever it is, whichever area of law it is, and give it your best. Do not be stuck in something you don't like or want because you spend most of your life working.
That is true, Larissa. As you were saying, you said passion is important. So what gives you the passion and drive to continue on when it's hard? Because like you said, it is not easy handling human rights cases because these are real people with real problems. So what gives you passion?
I think because I always knew I wanted to do this. So I've spoken to a lot of people about knowing your why. Why are you a lawyer? If I ask you Zoe right now, why are you a lawyer? Why did you decide to be a lawyer? You don't have to answer now. But these are the things that we should ponder about why. Because that is what keeps us going and keeps us grounded. And for me, it's success or victory, for lack of a better word again, is seeing lives changed. I think one day these stateless people that I help, they will become someone, whoever they are, and they will remember the fight that we took on to allow them to be who they are today. And for me, that's what drives me, you know, seeing them change in their life projection, that now they can have a future. And I was a part of that. That keeps me going. Yeah.
That's really beautiful, Larissa. Before we end the session, because our time is limited, do you have any last remarks or advice to our viewers out there?
I would always say we are all lawyers. I believe that most of us here who are listening would be lawyers. And I mean, the title itself is Women in Law. Be more than just a lawyer, you know, always think how or why you have decided to be a lawyer, and give time to do pro bono work. I think it's very important to remember that one of the reasons we are lawyers is actually to stand up for the marginalized community, the voiceless, people who don't have the avenue, access to justice. You know, when we have that ability to help, I think we should take that step forward. So that will be my advice, to take on pro bono work, and trust me, the reward is so different from monetary. It's like a whole different level. Yeah, Zoe. So I hope to see you taking up some pro bono work. Yeah.
I'll be inspired. I'll be very inspired by the work that you do, Larissa. So thank you, Larissa, for joining us and for the meaningful advice and for being part of the TMMTA's International Women's Day campaign. We're so honored to have you here. And on behalf of TMMTA, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, it's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure to have spoken to such an incredible young lawyer, that I hope that our episode can actually inspire others, like you said, to take up pro bono work, and also for women to be part of the human rights arena.
Yeah.
So to all our viewers, please make sure to check out our social media pages, which is LinkedIn and Facebook, for all our previous episodes. And we also want to sincerely thank L2 Icon for coming on board as our platform partner. So with that, thank you everyone, and stay safe.
Thanks.